Hello, new friends. It's good to see you. Today I thought that I would show you a few of the Bibles I have in my house. This isn't all of them, but it's a good sampling. So to start with, I'll show you this one, which is actually one of the objects that first gave me the idea to try my own ASMR videos. It has this lovely textured cover. It's sort of like parchment, but it's really a resin material. It's very rectangular, as you can see. And it sounds so nice. I really enjoy listening to it. So this is a King James version. It's a Protestant Bible, which means that it has fewer books than the Catholic Bible. This isn't a version that I use very often, but I do have it sitting in my living room. Pull it out sometimes if I need to look at something quickly. And I like to make sounds with it. So we can open it up here. The pages sound good. They're really thin. So they make a really great crinkling sound. And you can see that they've got this gold here on the sides, which is pretty. This is a very relaxing edition to use because everything sounds so nice, and it's such a nice, convenient size. It doesn't give you very much information though. Like you can see, this many footnotes is a lot for this edition, and they usually just tell you that there's other words that could be used, or sometimes it's spelled a different ways. It's not a lot about context. And they don't give you any information at the beginning of the different books. It would obviously take quite a while to flip through all the pages. So I'll flip here to the back, show you some of the special features of this. For those unfamiliar, different editions of the Bible And by editions, I don't mean translations. I mean, just, different printings, or whoever put that particular one together, whatever translation they used, tend to have different special features like this. This one even comes with this sort of handy-dandy built-in bookmark, which is nice. It's just a piece of sort of shiny, smooth cloth. Nothing special, but it gets the job done. It's probably usually in Acts or Psalms in my Bible. So here you have how you can read through the Bible in the year. Gives you advice for that. And here you have what's basically like an index, but not a very good one. So you can see if there's some words that you're looking for, where you might be able to find it in the text, but it's not very thorough, either in the words that it has or references to those words. So maybe I should look up what concordance means. Maybe it means something different than I think it does. Alright, let's flip ahead a little bit here. So that's about all this has. Most Bibles will have some sort of maps in the back, so you can look things up of different time periods. In this one, they're subtly in color and on a very different material. I do like maps. I like to look stuff up a lot. See how far something was, or where it is in modern day, or why it might have had a conflict with another area. A lot of times geography plays into that. See how names change throughout the centuries. Down here, the River Jordan. And so different Bibles will have different maps from different periods. This one I like here. Can't really see it on the camera, but it says Jerusalem from David to Christ. And he uses these colored lines to show the different changes in Jerusalem. So you can see how it grew or evolved over time. So yeah, that's a quick look at this one. And now I'll show you my kind of everyday Bible, which is very different. So this is my everyday Bible. It's a Catholic version. GOODNEWS. Good news. You can see it looks like stained glass. So it's today's English version. Say that here on the side too. Good News Bible. Today's English version. There's a quick look at the back. You can see this here is a working Bible. I use it all the time. The binding's coming apart. Look at that. I don't know what I do when it falls off. Maybe some book glue. It's it's getting worn up here and on this side too, so carry this with me, take this with me. It sits by my bed. I use it every day. You can see it's kind of bent here. This is how I open the book. I think that's obvious. So this is just like a paperback. Right? The pages are just like you'd find in a book if you went to like a used bookstore. They're that kind of yellowish now color, and the smell too. This is the only Bible I ever remember buying. I'm not sure where all my other ones came from. I don't know if they're gifts from people. I'm sure some of them are. Or how they all came to be in my home, but they certainly are. So this one, you see, it has a bit of a preface. It tells you a little bit about where this version came from in this translation. Then pretty much all of them, all Bibles will have the list of the books. You can hear this one's so crinkly. It's very possible this has gotten wet. I've been caught in rain sometime and carried it with me. I try to put it under my coat or my purse or something, but it doesn't always work. But if you like crinkle sounds, this should work for you. For being so simple, and maybe because it's so simple, the pages have a lot of texture. You can see again very few footnotes in this one. You're not going to get a lot of input on the different things you're reading in the pages themselves. And they have a lot of contexts. Sometimes the page will be more footnote than actual text. I'm going to try to get to the beginning of a book here and show you a little bit about what this one does have. I know some people like backward flipping. Maybe you're one of them. Okay, so in this particular version, the different sections each have an intro that gives you some context about the history at the time and who wrote it, and who the audience was, and the purpose of writing it, and what you can get out of it. So each of the books has something like that. So you do get a little more context than in the other one. In addition to getting a little more bang for your buck because you get those extra books. Here's the Psalms. I think the Psalms are good for pretty much everyone. They're poetry, and you can see that other people have had your emotions and shared your emotions over time. Good or bad. Alright, let's go ahead and flip ahead and I'll show you some of the special features of this one. Going through the Gospels, Acts, various epistles. Okay, so the first thing this one has is a word list. And this word list identifies many objects or cultural features whose meanings may not be known to all readers. And it's interesting what they've identified for it. So for instance, the first word is Abib, the first month of the Hebrew calendar. But then there's words like barley. And I think most people are familiar with barley, or aloes is in here. And that would seem to me like something most people would be familiar with. You know, and then it'll have words like cassia, which is a spice from the bark of a tree. So definitely a range in what they think people might want to look up. So So that's the first reference it has, is the word list. And then it has the chronology of the Bible. And this puts the information of the Bible into historical context, so the dates that the events would have happened, because a lot of this, of course, was originally oral history, or when books were written, when the people would have lived, so you can kind of understand. And if you're really interested, you could go, do some historical research and find out what else was going on in the world at the time. Compare. So again, like I said, most Bibles, I think pretty much every one I've seen, will have maps. Since this is the Bible I use the most, it's also the one that frustrates me the most with its maps, because I'll go to look something up and it just won't be on any of the maps, and it'll drive me crazy. Because this one has quite a few different times. Right, so here's Egypt and Sinai, and here's the division of Canaan. And I'll think, well, maybe it'll be on a different map if it's not in the one for the time frame I think it should. And here's the Jordan River again. And I just won't be able to find what I want. It'll drive me crazy. So I eventually usually end up going to Google, right? Google can tell you everything. Speaking of things that I do on my smartphone, there's a Bible app. I mean, there's several, but the most popular one I understand is called the U Bible app. And it has different translations in there, so you can see how different verses might differ between translations. I think there's a bunch of other stuff too, like Bible studies or things like that, but I have that, but I don't really use it. I've just used it to look stuff up a few times. Definitely haven't done any kind of Bible study thing through there. Not sure how I feel about commercial Bible studies. Here's the Jordan, always so important. Here's again, Jerusalem, kind of differences. This doesn't really show changes through the years. Just some wall changes. So I shouldn't say it doesn't show changes through the years, but it's not as clearly identified as in the other map. I have heard and read in a lot of places that the most downloaded app so far in 2021, sorry, not app, podcast, is Bible in a Year by Father Mike Schmitz. And I know Father Mike Schmitz, I don't know him personally. Special readers helps. But he does YouTube videos with Ascension Presents, and probably lots of other places too. But it was cool to see that in front of New York Times or NPR or anything is this Read the Bible in a Year podcast that has all these downloads, so that's neat. I haven't checked it out yet, but I still like the idea of it. So on these pages, you can see the breakout of the Bible, of the books. We have the law, history, poetry and wisdom, major prophets, minor prophets, and this is the Deuterocanonicals, so things like Maccabees or Judith, which aren't in the Protestant Bible, and then the Gospels, history, which is Acts, Paul's letters, General's letters, and the prophecy, of course, Revelation. Then this breaks down just a little summary of each of the books of the Bible. If you just want a quick look about what each book is. This sort of gives you an idea of like how to read the Bible, some ideas. Then another read the Bible through the year thing, which is obviously very popular. This is in multiple editions, and as I mentioned, that podcast is being downloaded like hotcakes. And here's some readings for special days that might apply if you're looking for something in particular. And then this, oh nope, I got ahead of myself. So these are famous passages, right? So like the early beginnings, and here's New Testament stories. Yeah, you can look up the miracles if you just want to see all of those. Parables. So different features. And this is a section that I like. It says finding help in the Bible. So maybe you want to understand your relationship with others, or overcome prejudice, or maybe you're feeling overwhelmed or experiencing stress, which I know is big right now, especially with all the COVID stuff going on. So you can find some verses. I would warn anybody that this isn't like a self-help book. It's not just meant to like go find a verse that works for you and then leave the rest. But it's a good place to start, or if you are looking for something in particular, I like this section. It can at least give you a place to start when you're dealing with certain issues. So that's it. You can see again right here. It's just so kind of coming apart. So that's it. That's my daily Bible, the one I use all the time. And now I'm going to show you my big, fancy Bible. It's huge. It's too big to really use. I'm not even sure it's going to fit on screen, so we'll have to see. It's a behemoth. All right. Oh, it's heavy. Here we go. Oh, look at that. It's so big. So this is like a coffee table Bible. It's huge, and I'll show you. It has tons of stuff in it, and it's just enormous. But look at this gorgeous gold embossing on it. So this is, totally different texture than the rest of the cover. And this, I'm pretty sure, was a gift. A lot of Bibles will have stuff in them where you can record, family events or family history and sacraments and all. And this is definitely one of those. I don't have any information in it. Even when books are meant for it, I have a hard time writing in books. I'm always like, what if I want to undo it? What if I change my mind? You can see it has sort of that parchmenty kind of look and sound as well on the front. That's a little divot. So, Holy Bible. You can see it here too. The Holy Bible, Catholic. This is a Catholic Family Record Edition. So that's what I was talking about with all the family record stuff. It's really pretty. All of them sound so nice. So this one has a lot of context information. So I use it sometimes when I want to look something up, or I'm hoping I can get a little bit more insight. Though I will say, I often just keep my phone with me and look things up there. It's just easier. And you can see this one too. That's sort of the gold on the outside, like the first one we looked at. And show you. So it looks like parchment. So this is what I mean. I haven't put anything in here, but You can keep the record of your whole family. And then this one has just a lot of information. So these pages are like slick, like, I don't know, like fancy coffee table book, right? So you see there's Pope John Paul II. He was Pope when I got this. There's a succession of all the popes, and you have these cool pictures of the Vatican in here. I'll tell you, it's obvious these pictures are old in this book, and I'll show you. You can't tell so much here when we're looking at the beautiful treasures of the Vatican, but I'll show you later. Here's the Pieta. Listing of the books again. And here you can have them alphabetically or in their order. Acknowledgements. And then you see who, helped put this together, the New American Bible. I do want to say, I am not a religious theologian. I'm not a Bible scholar. I don't even teach Sunday school. So I'm just showing you my things and sharing with you some things I thought would be nice and talk about these things. But if you want a lot of info, there's loads of resources out there. But I want to take my word as final on very much of this. So here we have like the history of the nations from the earliest records to 2200 BC, right? So we start at 5000 BC with prehistory, and you can just see, even compared to the last one, like how much more information there is on here. So much information. One thing I like, so like, let's just pick, 2200, right? So like here's what's going on with the Semites and the Hebrews, and then we see Babylonian Assyria, Egypt, and the Greeks. So you can kind of compare what was going on in different civilizations at the time. Wow, look how much of this there is. You can learn a lot. Let's go ahead, let's flip ahead a little bit. And then here's the chronology of the Gospels. If you want to see how they rolled out. A little more historical information, inspiration, and then we get to the Old Testament. So you can see these pages are much thicker. They have a very different sound. You can't see through them in quite the same way that you could in the first one. So the Pentateuch are the first 5 books of the Bible. And I'll show you. So see, these are all the footnotes in this edition. So you get a lot more information, and it'll even tell you, what was meant by something, not just that there's another word or a different translation, but a little bit of context, which is nice. And then let's look for the beginning of a chapter here, of a book. It's always Deuteronomy that we seem to end up on. So, we get the introduction, like in the last one. We get some of that historical context. And then this book in the middle, I'll show you. It has these pictures. I've got to show you, they're so funny. So again, this is like a fancy coffee table book, but you can learn about the Mass, the celebration of the Eucharist. On these pages, it'll tell you how it works. But like, I don't know if you can see, look how dated. I don't know. These must have been done in the 80s. But it's so funny. It's got the little like straight across bangs and the pupils closed. She's got that high kind of lacy collar. It just makes me laugh. And I think about when people are going to look back on how we look now and just laugh. But it's just so like clearly from that time period. Like, I feel like everybody who was in this really worked hard to get into their stylish best. And now, of course, it just looks dated. But so there's this whole part where you can learn all about how the Mass works, the Catholic Mass. And this is St. Francis Prayer for Peace, which is really nice, where you ask God to use you to bring goodness where there's bad things and to want for others more than to want for yourself. This is one of the ones where in the Gospels all of Jesus' words are in red, so you can see what he said right through his stuff. He's called out. Let's take a look at what's in the back of this one here. Oh, here's another one of those insert sections with the glossy color pages. And so this is the story of the Rosary and a little bit more about Mary. So you can see just the Renaissance kind of art, really pretty. Here's some different prayers. And then here's instructions on how to pray the Rosary for anybody who might be interested. Again, you see the red words. Let me just scoot this over just a touch. There we go. So now here's the dictionary. So the Encyclopedic Dictionary and Biblical Reference Guide. And so it has a lot of information. If you come across a word or a term that you don't know, here's where you can find out what it means. Look at this, just page after page. I mean, this is just for apostle right here. Goes on just a little bit farther up here. So there's that. Still going. Still going. And that kind of takes us to the end. Have that parchment look again. And then we're back to the back. It's so heavy. It's so, like, it would be so difficult to use this every day. So, yeah, that's just a little sampling of what I have. A tiny bit of context. So anyway, I hope you found that relaxing and maybe interesting. Let me know what version, what translation you use, and what kind of special features you have. Be interested to know. So anyway, thank you for joining me. I hope you're having a good day, that you get a restful sleep tonight. I look forward to seeing you all again soon.